Welcome to this episode of Destination Dare. Every community in the Outer Banks has a story to tell, and this show brings that information to life. From Dare County history to current events, from government services to local profiles, we keep you entertained, informed, and up to date.
We want to make sure that people have access to new and exciting authors, maybe expand their horizons a little bit, and just make sure that they're enjoying what they're reading. We have people who move here and they may have had access to a really large library system in a metropolitan area, but we can always win them over with our personalized service.
Hi. Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Good.
Every now and then someone would come to the desk and say, gee, I'm kind of out of ideas. I've read all of the books by this author. Who else is there? And we ask a few questions about your reading interests, maybe some authors that you really liked, what you liked about their books, and then staff would commiserate and find books that we thought you would enjoy. And so one of our goals at the libraries right now is to take the services that we thought worked really well and figure out a way to integrate them into kind of our permanent services and programs. And so we're introducing on our website something that we call Your Next Great Read. We will ask some questions. What are some books that you really like, or some authors you really like, some genres you really like? We would just try to find out what they're interested in. It's not just fiction. You know, there's a whole world of nonfiction. Maybe you're interested in history or in sports or biography. There's really large and diverse collection of nonfiction materials too. If it's for a child, we will ask their reading interests, obviously, their grade, but also their reading level. For now, the recommendations are for physical items only. We would do it for books on CD, or DVDs. We certainly welcome feedback in all aspects of our service. For Your Next Great Read, we are hoping people will give us feedback and let us know. And, we will learn from that and try to do better with future requests. We have 3 locations to serve you: Manteo, Hatteras, and Kill Devil Hills. To find all of our Reader's Advisory information, including the Your Next Great Read form, go to www.darenc.com/reading.
In the 19th century, before the time of the U.S. Coast Guard, there were 29 life-saving stations along the coast of North Carolina. Here in the Outer Banks, the Pea Island Life-Saving Station and its crew have become famous for their incredible history and heroic actions. The year was 1880, and Richard Etheridge had just become the first black keeper of Station Number 17, and in turn commanded the first all-black crew of a life-saving station. Etheridge trained his crew well and pushed them to become the best that they could be. This rigorous training paid off during the rescue of the E.S. Newman on October 11, 1896. The nightly beach walk was called off that night due to hurricane conditions, but surfman Theodore Meekins was assigned lookout from the watchtower and spotted a red flare from the distressed ship. The Pea Island Life-Saving Station quickly sprung into action, and they first attempted rescue with a Lyle gun, but could not get it to fire due to the heavy rain and overwash. Keeper Etheridge asked for volunteers to tie a rope around their waist and swim out to the E.S. Newman. His plan was successful, and over the course of the next 4 hours, 10 trips remained to the ship, and Captain S.A. Gardner, his wife, his son, and his 6 crewmates were all rescued. No medals were given for their heroic rescue until 100 years later, when they were awarded the Gold Lifesaving Medal by the U.S. Coast Guard.
We are the Pea Island Preservation Society. This weekend happens to be a very special weekend because it's a couple of days before the station's most famous wreck.
125 years after the rescue of the E.S. Newman, the Pea Island Preservation Society held an anniversary celebration in Manio in remembrance of the heroic rescue.
Folks, let's give this motley crew a big hand.
This included a special presentation at the aquarium on Roanoke Island, as well as placing a wreath on Keeper Etheridge's grave. To cap off the event, it was announced that October 11th, 2021 would become Pea Island Lifesavers Day, to forever commemorate the Pea Island Lifesaving Station.
You're right, proclaim. October the 11th, 2021 is Pea Island Lifesavers Day. North Carolina, and commend its observance to all citizens. So thank you.
Yeah, stand up. Thank you. Is that not great news?
This was followed by a second event at the Haven Creek Baptist Church in Manio.
Like the children of the Israelites.
All right.
God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. God's gonna trouble the waters.
I'd like to welcome everyone here today and thank you for coming out to help us celebrate the 125th anniversary of the E.S. Newman rescue. To all the descendants of the men who served at Pea Island, their past lives within you, for you are a product of their past, the keeper of their story. And it is our duty to tell their story, to inspire and educate future generations.
We're here to honor Richard Etheridge today. He was the epitome of a great leader. He was loved and respected by his men and other lifesavers. And of course, he was revered by those he rescued.
You've heard the names before and you'll hear them again. Richard Etheridge, Theodore Meekins, Benjamin Bowser, Louis Westcott, Dorman Pugh, Stanley Wise, William Irving, because as I said, if not for them, I would not be here today. There would be no Gardner family. Although time separates us, I wish to thank Richard Etheridge and the crew for their courage, dedication, and humility.
So the establishment of an all-black crew at Pea Island seemed like a promising opportunity. By comparison, here was a station where they might rise in the ranks. The black community took pride in Pea Island. Even now, 125 years later, their example lights our path toward a better tomorrow.
The history of the crew at the Pea Island Station continues to this day, and their legacy is marked by the role they played in the collective work done by all life-saving stations across the Outer Banks. The all-black Pea Island Life-Saving Station means so much to the U.S. Coast Guard, and it is one of our proudest moments in our 231 plus years of service history of saving lives.
The Pea Island Preservation Society operates the Cookhouse Museum in Manio, where there are countless artifacts and photos documenting the history of the first all-black life-saving station. Here you will find Joan and Darrell Collins, cousins and descendants of Herbert Collins, the last man in charge of Pea Island before it was deactivated in 1947.
This history, I believe, is just so telling about what the history of this country represents. Blacks, whites, Native Americans, people of mixed heritage, who lived right here on Roanoke Island, who are related, who share a common bond, whose lives were, yes, very, very different, but in many respects, very much the same.
The incredible story of Richard Etheridge and his crew will live on forever at the Pea Island Cookhouse Museum in Manteo, and in the hearts and minds of all those who visit.
At the Nags Head Town Hall, just outside on the lawn, sits a shipwreck. The wreck was first spotted in 1975, uncovering itself on the beach a mile south of Whalebone Junction. In 1978, during a storm, the wreck was dislodged and drifted north to Jeanette's Pier, where it battered pilings, destroying 9, until finally washing ashore. Subsequently, with the help of multiple agencies, the wreck was moved to where it lies now. Since then, the shipwreck has been researched in great detail by archaeologist Nathan Richards from East Carolina University.
So we started to study the Nags Head wreck because it's sitting there, and it's not very often you see a shipwreck in a parking lot. And being an educator in relation to maritime archaeology and maritime history, and working at UNC Coastal Studies Institute and with East Carolina University, it's a great opportunity for my students to see how a ship of this era is constructed without having to put their scuba gear on. It's also very interesting because it had an identity. As we looked into this, sort of in the process of doing reconnaissance on a range of different shipwrecks up and down the coast, it became pretty clear that there's a lot of potential candidates that it could be. It's pretty clear it's not the Francis E. Waters, which is the name it got stuck with. And so it's a bit of a mystery story, and then archaeologists like to use their detective skills and thinking about all the different evidence that we can collate in order to come to our conclusions. And of course, even having the mystery is really important and really interesting to me because it is the graveyard of the Atlantic, and we like to think we know all the wrecks. There's thousands of shipwrecks, there's probably over 5,000, maybe 6,000, but we don't really know. So it's a continuing sort of interesting story about the past coming back and visiting the beach. So if you deconstruct the history of the wreck from the records that we know, and this is predominantly from the underwater archaeology branch's site files, the wreck's showing up in the 1970s, and it's a bigger wreck than the piece that we see today. So over time, it's broken apart during the wrecking event, and then it's continued to sort of come to pieces until it's placed in the parking lot in the front of the town hall. So trying to convey that information to the public is really interesting. A few years ago, a student at ECU, David Butaro, a master's student, he did a reconstruction project on this. And that was really illuminating because it doubled down on this idea that it can't be the Francis E. Waters. The Francis E. Waters is a 149-ton vessel, whereas the timbers suggest something much larger, something in the range of 1,200 to 1,500 tons. And so right now we're pursuing a project to look at its current state of preservation and to see if we can perhaps do some time-lapse measurement. And our hope is that that's also going to let us re-examine the way that that vessel was constructed and draw us back into the historical record. And so while we're not setting ourselves the goal of definitively identifying the wreck, we're hoping that future study might inadvertently identify the wreck. And that's really exciting for me because then you have the opportunity to open a whole new chapter, sort of the story of the wreck. It might be a surprising vessel. It might be a vessel with a very rich history. And invariably, whatever it is, it's still part of Outer Banks maritime history. So we're planning on doing this over the next 12 months, planning a project, and then starting to do some three-dimensional modeling of the site to help us fulfill these aims. As an archaeologist, I'm interested in the preservation of these kinds of sites, really anywhere. And so we see this having experimental potential. What can we learn about the state of preservation of this vessel? Can we help stabilize it, or can we come to decisions about its future? That will hopefully have some bearing on the future of the Nags Head wreck, but we could learn some things that we could extrapolate and infer onto other wrecks, whether it's another wreck somewhere sitting in a similar situation, whether it's a wreck about to be pulled out of the beach for some reason, and we can learn from the history of what's happened to the Nags Head wreck. So there's layers of reasons to care about it, I think.
We're down here at the Buxton burn building doing a class that we're calling Prioritizing the Search. With the fire department, life safety is what we need to prioritize on every fire. So a class like this is focusing strictly on that, getting people in there and pulling people out that might be trapped inside. We are lucky to have a couple very experienced firefighters from the Hampton Roads area that volunteered to come down here and teach us, help us out this weekend.
Well, basically, my experience from a city like Newport News is I'm stationed at one of the busiest engine companies in the city. I get a lot of experience and decided it'd be a good time to bring some of my buds down here, and we're just having a good time, and hopefully we're teaching some good, solid skills. This building is really good for us because we're able to simulate some live fire evolutions that we don't necessarily have a chance to do in real life, and we can get recruits or trainees, students in this type of situation. We're able to watch them, follow behind them, give them some guidance. After an evolution, we can come back out and we can talk about things, have a critique or a hot wash, if you will.
So today's training, part of it is a requirement for us to get what this is called facility training. But it's more than that. We're taking an opportunity to focus on a specific technique. Due to our staffing and those real life situations, we have to make a decision because of our manpower. Do we drag the hose in and put the fire out, or do we focus on our efforts for that life safety? It's not every fire that's like that, but we've got to make that decision. We do a lot of hose drilling and putting out the fire, and everything gets better once that happens. But this is the second aspect of it and the most important part of our job, which is life safety. So if we get that call and we got people are trapped inside and we've got the owners outside saying they have somebody in there and they can tell us exactly where they're at, we have an opportunity to employ a technique that's called VEIS, which stands for Vent, Enter, Isolate, and Search. What that really means is we're probably not going to be pulling a line in. We're not going to be dealing with the fire just yet. We're going to be focusing on putting a ladder, getting in, and getting that victim out that's in a tenable space. And then we'll deal with the fire after we get the most important thing, which is that life safety factor.
This building allows us to get the real smoke and real fire, and it's something that we really can't simulate anywhere else but down here. They have to actually go in there and search in some conditions where it's very difficult for them to see, and it's not comfortable to stay in there very long.
So another aspect of this, it's basically a simple front porch drill. That's getting our protective measures on so we can go in. We're trying to reinforce that everything we do out here, it's not our time. It's the person we're going in time. So we got air, we're taking it with us. They're not. So the more time it takes us to get our stuff on and get in, the less chance they have. So that's one of the things that we're also focusing on and developing those skills so that we can cut down on their time and get them out into good air.
So we have, I believe, 8 separate departments in Dare County being represented this weekend, which is nice. It gives us a chance to work with some other people. We see each other on scenes, but it might not be very often that we get to work together. So getting these guys down here and actually splitting the crews up and having guys that don't normally work together go in there and have to communicate with each other, just a kind of second thing to work on.
You know, given that our first priority is life safety, and to come when you need us, hopefully we'll be able to get in and save you. This is a great opportunity to get people in there and build their competencies as well as their skills.
Early this year, our mayor had signed an online pledge with the Monarch Flyway Association to commit to efforts to increase the monarch butterfly population. What has evolved out of that commitment was the town purchased 3,000 milkweed plants. We purchased these from Wetland Plants, Inc. over in Edenton. They specialize in wetland plants. Now these are swamp milkweed. And so what we're doing is planting these along the edges of areas that have water in town. We're planting these at these 2 ponds up here at Hillcrest Beach Access, but then we also have 2 spots at Circle Drive. There's a pond over there that I've cleared out. There's another spot, the retention basin at East Dogwood and NC12, and then also at the North Marina, just over the bulkhead, we're planting some. So we're scattering these out throughout the town. Our goal here is trying to get that flyway from north to south.
In general, monarch butterflies are disappearing. They're on the endangered list because milkweed is disappearing. The monarch butterfly has to have milkweed in its reproductive cycle because it lays eggs only on milkweed plants, and then when they hatch into caterpillars, they feed on the milkweed until they become a pupa, and then from there hatch into a butterfly.
Like frogs, they're a canary in the coal mine because they're an indication of problems with the climate, with loss of habitat, loss of feeding, and an inability to pollinate. That affects the life cycle of everyone.
So we kind of started early summer, just talking about how we were going to do the plans and getting them moving, and I kind of organized helping with some of the volunteers, and you just saw we had probably about 50 people show up.
Just want to say a special thank you to Jim Connors and Emily Gould for their efforts on behalf of this project. It was very gratifying to see them take the bull by the horns, if you will, and make it happen. We had no idea as much of a success as it's been thus far. It's been just remarkable to see the turnout. And I think the Monarch deserves as much attention as anything else we spend our time and effort on. Fortunately, it looks like my neighbors agree with that and showed up in terrific numbers.
These 2 ponds here are a good example of what we're doing. I came out and weed whacked everything to make it clear, and easy to plant. But when spring hits, all that vegetation is going to come back that I weed whacked out, but they're going to have, 1,000 or more milkweed plants in there too. So we think it'll be a win-win for everybody.
According to the recent census, the population of duck has grown. Our town staff are here to serve residents, property owners, businesses, and visitors alike. If you're new to town or you just haven't met some of our professionals yet, stick around and we'll let you know what services we provide and how you can contact us. First up is our administration department located at 1200 Duck Road. Administration offers a wide range of services and is a great place to start with questions about our town. Got a budget question? Need help with the website? Or maybe you're looking to replace your broken trash can. We've got you covered.
I'm Drew Havens, and I serve as the town manager. I provide the link between the legislative functions of the town council and the operation of all town departments. I'm also the town's finance officer and human resources officer, overseeing all aspects of budgeting, finance, and personnel-related matters. Town Clerk Lori Ackerman prepares town council and board agendas and minutes and is responsible for the safekeeping of these proceedings in accordance with general statutes. Lori also responds to information requests, is a notary public, assists with human resources matters, and provides administrative support to the organization. Public Information Director Christian Legner and Betsy Trimble, Public Information and Events Coordinator, produce and maintain communications and information for the town. These include the website, weekly email news, social media accounts, council meeting streams and videos, and the town brochure and newsletter. They also plan and host weekly and annual events in the town park. Jessica Barnes is our Finance and Human Resources Administrator. She maintains the town's accounting of municipal funds, including accounts payable, financial records, and payroll. In addition to financial duties, Jessica administers our HR programs and is a notary public.
The Town of Duck Department of Community Development is responsible for planning, zoning, permitting, and inspections, as well as many special projects throughout the town. I'm Joe Hurd, Director of Community Development, and I'm glad for the opportunity to introduce our staff. Sandy Cross is our Senior Planner. She's the go-to person for permitting questions and information about floodplain management or CAMA permits. Sandy also oversees town improvement projects such as the Duck Trail, landscaping, beach and dune management, including the volunteer beach grass planting program. Building Inspector Steve McMurray is a familiar face to many contractors in town. He advises homeowners, contractors, reviews plans, and conducts inspections. You can reach out to Steve for building code questions. Kay Nickens is our permit technician and doubles as the deputy town clerk. Kay processes permit applications, schedules inspections, answers general permitting questions, and notarizes documents. Kim Pittman serves as the town's maintenance technician. He monitors public facilities such as the town hall, the amphitheater, and boardwalk, and keeps these facilities safe and in working condition.
Duck Public Safety Departments include the police, fire department, and a contracted surf rescue provider. All are located at 1259 Duck Road.
My name is Jeff Ackerman, and I serve the town of Duck as your Chief of Police. It's my greatest honor to work side by side with the outstanding men and women of the Town of Duck Police Department. The Duck Police Department is responsible for protecting the safety and property of the Duck residents, property owners, and visitors. The department is staffed by my lieutenant, Missy Clark, 2 sergeants, Jason Garrett and Joe Knight, and 10 police officers. Together, we provide the highest possible level of law enforcement service to our community. Lieutenant Clark is responsible for the day-to-day operation of the police department, and Sergeants Garrett and Knight each command a squad of 5 police officers, which provide proactive policing services around the clock. In an emergency, please call 911 and be prepared to provide your name, location, and the nature of your emergency. To have an officer dispatched to a non-emergency event, please contact Dare Central Communications by calling 252-473-3444.
Hi, my name is Donna Black, and I'm the fire chief. Your fire department here in Duck is a combination fire department. That means we have paid employees that are here 24/7 and volunteers in the community to help serve you. As your fire chief, I see all operations of the fire department work collaboratively with town staff and also with our surf rescue, Dare County EMS, and our mutual aid partners. Our deputy chief, Trey Bachelet, assists me with operations, training, helping with the department, and also works with town staff as our fire marshal, fire inspector, and plan review. Our career staff is structured this way. We have 4 people assigned on 3 different shifts. They're all firefighters, they're all EMTs, and they're here 24/7 to answer any call. We also encourage volunteering, and we really need the help of our community members that wish to come in and be support firefighters for us or learn to go in a burning building. They supplement our 24/7 response. We have 3 shift supervisors, 1 assigned to A shift, B shift, and C shift, Captain Del Monte, Captain Dempsey, and Captain Smith. Other services we provide are reflective signs and Knox boxes. Both of these programs help us to help you quickly. For general questions pertaining to public safety, please call during business hours to our administrative assistant, Nicole Martin. In an emergency, or even if you think you have an emergency, please call 911. That is the quickest way to get us to you.